friends. Welcome to Live with Jack number 27. I am here on time this week, but still getting a little bit of my... Simba, calm down, buddy. Simba is very angry that I am not ready on time, it seems. I'm just being a bit of a boomer and getting all the technology set up. Boys, cut that shit out. So that our recording works correctly. It's very important. All right, let's get that set up, and we are almost there. Are you ready for it? I hope so. They're ready. Okay, seriously, stop. Welcome for the official, actual start of Live with Jack number 27. We had a little bit of technical difficulty there at the beginning. We had some doggy problems as the two of them are fighting over a stuffed rabbit, which, if you're going to fight over something, fine. Anyhow, I would like to welcome you officially. And today we're going to be talking about, wait, hold on a minute. I almost forgot something. Something seems amiss here. We need to do our Cheers with Chaps. So, if you want to truly enjoy this live stream, if you want to set yourself up for success, if you want to make sure that everything today, and in fact this whole week, goes perfectly according to plan, then here's what you need to do. You need to find yourself some sort of beverage vessel. Could be glass, could be a mug, could be a bottle, could be a can, could be a bag if you so choose. And I want you to fill it with your favorite drink, whatever that is. And join me now as we lift our cups, mugs, glasses, bottles, cans, bags, whatever it is, to enjoy what has become the absolute height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization. It is called Cheers with Chaps, and we do it now. Cheers. Get that second sip in there. Make sure that you're really ready for it. I hope that you are joining me on these cheers, because cheers is cheers? Huh. Anyway, I hope that you're enjoying these with me, because one of the things that it does is it helps you to open up your mind to better listen to what I have to say, so that you can learn more from it and start applying it to your daily life. Now, without further ado, let's just jump straight into today's topic. So, today, we're talking about dating in big cities versus small towns. Which one's better? Which one's better for you, more importantly, and why? So I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons of dating in big cities and dating in small towns. And I know that a lot of people think, well, there's nothing that a small town can offer that a big city can't. And that, my friends, is incorrect. That is wrong. Very, very much not true. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. But first, let's just go ahead and get the big cities out of the way. So, what are some of the better things about dating? Oh, Lemmy Winks. What are some of the better things about dating in a big city? Well, obviously, you have more people to choose from. So that's great, right? Because you can meet people on the streets, you can meet them in cafes, on the subway, you can go to different bars and restaurants and venues and concerts and whatever else, and you can meet lots of people there. That goes for both men and women, so you can make some good friends, but also you can meet lots of women, which is really the purpose of why we're here. And so there is a very distinct benefit to the big cities in that regard. What now? I'm still in my head. I'm trying to figure out how to organize these thoughts. If I should go, here's a good thing about big cities. Here's a good thing about small cities, comparably side by side. I think I'm just going to keep them situated together. So let me just keep on talking about the big cities then. So obviously, lots of people, which means lots of options for women. This is also really good because if you start dating a girl and you need to replace her, if you have a little harem running and someone drops out of rotation, no problem. Come here, you. Bento is being an asshole and chasing Simba around. So he's going to hang out up here with Papa Jack. So, like I said, you can replace somebody if they drop out of your rotation. You can actually just build a harem, and you can keep it all on the DL, right? That's something that cities offer in spades, and it's one of the big benefits is anonymity. Because nobody knows you, right? Only the people who you want to know you know you. It's not like you're walking down the street and everybody's saying like, oh, hi, Jack. Hey, how are you today? Hey, I saw you in the coffee shop earlier. No, you're not going to get any of that stuff in the big city because everybody's got their own shit going on, right? There's just too many people around to know everybody. You might know some people who you interact with regularly, or you might just recognize their faces and say, hey, how are you doing, man? But you're not going to really know them that well. And that can be a big benefit, especially if you're dating multiple women. You don't want your date to get blown out because the waitress knows your girlfriend's sister or some other weird shit like that. And so in the big city, you avoid that very easily. Nobody really knows who you are, and you can remain somewhat anonymous. One of the other big benefits that a big city offers is convenience. And yes, there are convenient things, as in it's easy to get to a district with a lot of bars or some museum and things like that. You do have a lot more options for activities, which is great. That's a benefit in and of itself. But another thing that cities offer is they offer travel hub access. And so if you want to take a trip to Thailand, then you're already nearby the airport. You can get to and from someplace easily. Or even if you want to stay domestic, if you need to fly somewhere, again, you're nearby the airport, or any of the train systems, they're all going to run through the big cities. You're going to get major bus hubs running through big cities. So you have a lot more options for traveling around, for getting from place to place, and you can even do a quick weekend date. You're dating a girl, things are going well. You want to take her to the beach. Okay, great. If you're in a big city, you have ease of travel. Now, of course, I'm talking specifically about not in North America, because in North America, you can just drive wherever you're going. But even there, I used to live in a fairly small town in Texas, and if I wanted to go somewhere, I would either have to fly out of their little rinky-dink airport and do like 2 or 3 transfers to get somewhere, or I would need to drive 5 or 6 hours to the nearest big city where I could then get a direct flight. So you're still talking about better access to travel. So what are some of the bad things? Well, actually, there's one more really good thing about the cities, which is because you have lots of people, because you have lots of anonymity, it makes it very easy to date almost any kind of girl you want. I'm going to get to the different types and the different relationships that are better suited for cities versus country in a little bit. But cities are full of people who need attention, and they're happy to jump on your dick to get it, which is obviously a benefit. But it does come at a cost. And that cost is going to be our first big negative for cities, which is loneliness. And if you've never lived in a big city for long, you might think to yourself, well, you're in a city of 30 million people. How could you ever be lonely? And it's exactly that kind of anonymity and blending into the background and nobody knows you that can lead to a real sense of loneliness, even when you're surrounded by people. There was a film, I'm showing my age. There was a film a couple of decades back called Lost in Translation with Bill Murray, and it does a really good job of illustrating that point, where he's set up in Tokyo to do some advertising shoots, and while he's there, he struggles with his loneliness because even though he's in a city of tens of millions of people, still trying to find people to actually connect with can be that much harder. And the same is true for dating, because whenever you're trying to find someone to date, especially if you decide that you're looking for some kind of a more serious relationship, trying to find something like that in a city of 30 million people, it's a lot harder than it sounds, because you're going to have to sift through that much more bullshit to try and find whatever it is you're looking for. So that is one of the biggest downsides to living in a city. Another big issue that is tied directly to this is something called the paradox of choice. And as a general rule, people think that having more choices, more options, is better. But it's not necessarily. Because if you go into a restaurant or something, and they have ice cream, you can get ice cream. Okay. What kind of ice cream do you want? We have chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Pick one. Okay. Then you have some choices, and it's pretty easy to choose. But if you go into Baskin Robbins and they have, it's 31. They still have 31 flavors, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking boomer. But in any case, they have a lot of things to choose from, and it can take longer and be even more difficult to make that choice. Which one do you want out of all of these? Well, now take that from 31 up to 31 million, and you're looking for one girl to date. It makes it a lot harder. It also makes it a lot more difficult if you want to be in a more serious relationship, but you still see all of these really hot girls everywhere you go who are absolutely down to fuck. And to still keep your dick in your pants and to stay committed to one person can be made that much tougher just because of the incredible variety on offer in big cities. And so you may end up finding yourself with, if you hop on like dating apps or some shit, or if you go out number farming. If you go out number farming on the subway, like I've advised on my blog before, you can, in one Saturday, pick up 50, 60 numbers. Okay, which one are you going to text first? Fuck, I don't know. So what you end up doing is you end up writing some message and then copy pasting it to all of them. Okay, but now you're not really building a real connection, are you? Which takes us back to the loneliness. And it does create a bit of a vicious cycle in big cities, because it's so much more difficult to separate everything out. And I'm sure that there are some people listening who are thinking to themselves, well, Papa Jack, I can't even get one girl's number. How would I ever have the problem of having 60 numbers in a day? I get that. I understand that mindset. But just like with anything else in the world, the hardest part is going from 0 to 1. And once you figure out how to get one girl's phone number, and once you figure out how to take one girl on a date, and once you figure out how to get one girl to go up to the rooftop for quick anonymous sex, well, it becomes that much easier for the next 59 of them. And it does quickly snowball out of control to the point where you may have one number and then 2 numbers and then 10 numbers and then 50 numbers. And it is a very real problem if you stay in the city and you're trying to date around. What is that? Oh. I was trying to create whiteboards for this, and I had written down some notes to kind of help me organize my thoughts, but I didn't finish them in time, and so I'm not going to show a half-finished product. So I just have notes off to the side a little bit. Right, so another big issue that you're going to run into in the city is bitches and assholes. When everybody has millions of people to choose from, they don't have to give you the time of day, and very often they will make that known to you. There are a lot of people, I mean, whenever you have that many people, some of them are just going to be assholes anyway. But on top of all that, you have an extra issue, which is that cities are something of a sensory overload. Humans are not really built to live in massive metropoli. And metropole? Anyhow, they're not meant to live in just massive cities. And so a lot of that stuff ends up short-circuiting your brain. When you meet 30 people a day and one of them's an asshole, then it's easy to be an asshole as a result of that to other people that you meet throughout the day. And that, just like with the dating snowballs, this also snowballs. You end up with a lot more kind of angry and miserable people because there are just a lot more people. So a lot more of them are having a bad day. And you're much more likely to notice someone treating you like shit than you are to notice the 29 other people who treated you like a decent human being, because that's not out of the ordinary, so it doesn't strike you as something worth noticing. Hey, Bento, are you okay? Bento's kind of an asshole, too. Bento's an asshole to Simba, but he's nice to me, and that's really all that counts. Now, lest we forget, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about living in small towns. Now, I've never lived in a really small town. I've met some people who lived in a town of like 200 or something like that, where just everybody knows everybody, and you kind of wonder sometimes about how closely related they are. But I've never lived in one that small. But the smallest place I've ever lived in was a town of about 90,000 people. Sounds like a lot as a number, but as a population, that's nothing. That's so small. In fact, this town was so small that you could walk from one end of it to the other in just 10 minutes. And so there were some good things about living there and some bad things about living there. Let's start with the bad things, and we'll wrap this up on a positive note. So some of the negatives about living out there was, first of all, like I said before, vis-a-vis the cities and travel access and convenience, it is extraordinarily inconvenient. You're an hour away from everything, and that's if you're lucky. If you're living in a small town that's also farther away from everything, out in the middle of the country or something like that, then you could be multiple hours, even by flight, to get to anything that you want to go to. And imagine if you're living, a 5-hour drive or a 6-hour bus ride away from a big city, and I don't know, your favorite musician is coming through the city to do a concert. Well, they're not coming to your small podunk town. And so it is very inconvenient as far as living goes. But as far as dating goes, you have far fewer options. That's obvious because, 50 million versus 90,000. You're losing out on an awful lot there in terms of the options. But even more than that, you lose the anonymity that a big city affords you. And in doing so, it makes it a lot harder to date multiple women unless they are all super fucking cool with it. Because in a big city, you can tell girls, hey, I'm not really into the monogamy thing. I'm more open for an open relationship. So if that's cool with you, then that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to keep dating other people. You can too. I don't really care. Or you can tell them not to. They are going to be a lot more apt to agree to that if they don't ever have to see it. As in, I accept this mentally, but emotionally, I would not be able to deal with seeing you date another girl or seeing you kiss another girl or something like that. So it makes it a lot easier. But in small towns, the chances of you running into your main girl while you're dating your banchan. Here's a fun one for you. Total aside, in Korea, we call the side girls banchan because whenever you order food, you get a main dish and then all these tiny little side dishes. And those are called banchan. So whenever you have a main girl and then a side girl or two, we just call them the banchan. So anyway, whenever you're out on a date with your banchan, then your main girl might well see you. Whether you've told her that you're dating other people or not, this is still going to be a problem. You lose the anonymity as well, meaning that the waitress is going to tattle on you. She's going to come up to the girl whenever you get up to go to the bathroom and go say, "Oh, why are you with that Jack guy? He's such an asshole. Oh, he had another girl in here just yesterday." Oh, fucking hell, man. So you are going to deal with small town gossip, things like that. People get bored. People want something to do, and all humans, everybody's favorite topic is people. And they like to talk about each other. They like to talk shit about each other especially. So you get into a small town, what's going to happen? People are going to talk shit. They're going to talk shit about you. They're going to talk shit to you about other people. It's just part of being in a small town. And nothing stays a secret. It's like being back in high school again, where everybody knows everything about everybody. Sometimes other people know that your girlfriend has broken up with you before you even know. That's what living in a small town is like. It's like being back in high school, which, it does have a lot of drawbacks to it. Again, with the lack of choice in a small town, can really seem like a bummer, especially if you're young and you're just getting into game. And the only thing on your mind is, I want to stick my dick in as many wet holes as possible. Let's make that happen. Okay. That's going to be a lot harder in a small town because, again, the lack of anonymity, the lack of choice. However, if you're a more relationship-minded fella, then small towns can be beneficial to you because they remove that paradox of choice. You don't get paralysis through analysis, trying to figure out which of these 50 girls that I met yesterday I'm interested in talking to. Because if you go out for a night out on the town, you might find 2, 3 that seem to fit your criteria, that are what you're looking for. And so that really helps to narrow it down a lot. And out of the 2 or 3, it's much easier to pick your favorite if they're all receptive. So you do have that benefit. If you know game well, if you know how to deal with people well, living in a small town can make it a lot easier to get into a relationship. One of the other big benefits to living in a small town is the lack of loneliness. Everywhere you go, everybody knows who you are. Can be a negative in the terms that I put earlier about the lack of anonymity, but it can also feel really nice to, as the show famously said, go somewhere everybody knows your name. That is, again, a really dated reference that people like the kid are never going to get that one, and that's okay. But just having places where everybody knows who you are. Whenever you walk into the local watering hole, everybody's like, "Hey, Jack, how are you doing, man? Yeah, oh yeah, I heard you had a rough day at work. Here, let me buy you a beer." Okay, all right, sure, yeah. Everybody's pretty friendly. One of the other big benefits to living in a small town is that you're not going to run into as many assholes. And the reason for this is because, again, of the lack of anonymity. And so unless somebody wants their entire persona to be, that guy's an asshole. And there are people like that. I've met plenty of people who are just, they're outright assholes to everybody, and that's just part of their character. So other than those people, everybody else has a bit of a reputation to worry about. They don't want to be known as the asshole. They don't want to be known as the cheating slut. In a small town, the chances that your girlfriend cheats on you, much lower. Why? Because, again, same thing I said earlier, lack of anonymity. They don't want that reputation. Everybody knows everybody. there are a lot more social pressures to prevent negative issues like that from happening. So, again, for the relationship-minded fellas, a small town can work really well. Now, I just looked at the clock, and it looks like we're running a bit short on time for this part of the Live with Jack. So I'm going to go ahead and bring us to a wrap-up, which is, which one is better for you? Well, first of all, if you're looking for a more serious relationship, any sort of a long-term relationship at all, small towns are always going to be better for you. If you're looking for quick sex, casual sex, flings, open relationships, shit like that, then big cities are going to be better for you. If you are trying to get into game, if you're not yet sure what to do, if you're still working your way through maybe through my course and trying to figure out how you can go about talking to people, things like that, big cities are absolutely the place to cut your teeth because you have virtually no downside. If you approach a girl and it fails, okay, right? She's forgotten you. Nobody on the street knows who you are. Nobody's seen it, right? It doesn't even stand out in a sea of people. So, big cities are a great place to practice and learn game. But if you want to be able to pick the cream of the crop out of your choice of any of the girls in town, knowing game and being in a small town is going to be amazing. This is why, I'm assuming everybody had kind of similar experiences, but in high school, there were a couple of guys who were just pure naturals, right? And they had their pick, right? They could fuck the hottest girl in the school, or they could fuck all the girls in the school. It didn't matter because it was basically a microcosm of a small town where the naturals just kind of, they natively knew game. They knew what to do. They knew what to say. And so they had their pick of the litter. Now, were they a big fish in a small pond as opposed to a small fish in a big pond? Yeah, to some extent, there is that. And you're not going to get the Maxim models living out in the small town. But you're going to get some really solid 8s, 8.5s. Maybe you'll luck into a 9 every now and then, but pretty rare. Most of the 9s and 10s are going to travel to the big city. Why? Because there are a lot more opportunities for them to suck more dick for more fame and money, basically. So, why would they stick around the small towns? If you are more interested in sluts, attention whores, worker bees, those are going to be, I'm trying to think of some others that are going to be more prone to always be in the city. Those 3 are definitely going to always be in the city. Oh, the cheater is always going to be in the city. Right? Not always, but 95% of the time. The cheater is always going to be in the big city. So if you're looking for those types, big city is the place to be for you. If you're looking for prudes, there are plenty of shy girls in the city. The Friend exists mostly in smaller towns. If you're looking for, no, I think that all the other types are easy to find in both big cities and small towns. So prudes and, what did I just say? I just now said it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think through all the different types off the top of my head. But in any case, those 2 types are going to be much more prevalent in small towns than in big cities. And all the other types are going to be easily found in either side. So, based on which types it is you're looking for, what kinds of relationships you're looking for, what your goals are with dating, if you're new to it, if you're trying to just be the big dog on the block, if you're trying to find the right girl and get married, if you're trying to fuck around and build a harem, right? All of these are perfectly viable options. And to be entirely honest, I've been through all of those different phases at different points in my life. And so figure out what it is that you're looking for, what it is you want to be doing, at least for right now, and make your decision accordingly about whether to live in a big city or a small town, because there are definitely pros and cons to both. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. And if it has, consider hitting that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet, because we do these live streams every week. You're going to get a notification that'll pop up and let you know whenever we go live, whenever we post up new videos. A lot of times we take clips and cuts from things inside of the paid course and we put them out here on YouTube. So if you want to get some of that content for free, absolutely hit the subscribe button. And if you're not yet part of the community, join the Discord as well. I'm not sure if we even have that in the description or not, but if it's not there, you can find the community at realjacknorth.com or at thesoulplayer.com and join our Discord, join our chats, where you'll be able to talk directly with me and the other guys and ask questions that we're going to answer on our live Q&As with the player panel. Speaking of live Q&As with the player panel, here they come. Let's bring them in. So we have the Kid. Welcome, the Kid. We have Julius. Hey there, Julius. And we have everyone's favorite fucking pervert, Lemmy Winks, the Gerbil King. That's Big Rich.
Okay. Hey,
he has decided today that he is going to be Lemmy Winks, the Gerbil King. Right. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Enjoyed the thing you just talked about. It's something I could really relate to super well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like a lot of the experiences, for me, it's a weird dichotomy, because America and Korea, I lived in big cities and small towns in both, right? Growing up in Dallas and then living in Lubbock as well. It's like, I mean, Lubbock's not small town, not by West Texas standards, but it's like 200,000 people or something, not that big. And then out here, I lived out in Cheongna, which is what I was talking about when I said you could walk across it in 10 minutes. It was a small-ass town.
Yeah, no, when I first made it to Korea, I was living in the countryside, and I lived in a town of about 1,000 people.
Oh, shit.
And, yeah, it was really small. And then I would bus it to the nearby small city of, like, I think 50,000 people, I think. Yeah, it was real small. So yeah, I knew I had to deal with like solitude and kind of being like a celebrity everywhere you go. But
yeah,
I mean, there were also issues too, like dating. You know, it was really fucking hard because all the English speakers are in Seoul, and you know everyone knows everything about you. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so actually, before we jump into the questions, I have one that I want to discuss with you, which is, when you're in a small town like that, how do you actually meet people? Like, how do you find dates? Because, I mean, hell, if you jump on Tinder, you're going to get, what, 5, 10 matches, maybe?
Dude, I was there before Tinder was even a thing.
Right.
My friends who used Tinder.
You live there today.
Yeah. I mean, like, so speaking from my friends' experiences when they lived in a small town in the countryside, they would match with people in nearby cities, right? And then they would all meet in Seoul or something, but they wouldn't meet in the town. Yeah, so the way to answer your question, like how I would meet people, I would meeting Koreans is extremely hard because there's a huge problem, and something you kind of missed here is that all Koreans our age, you know, young adults, they're just not living in the countryside. They're all in Seoul. They're all in Daejeon. They're all in Busan. They're all in Daegu, you know, for college or work. None of them are living in the countryside. So it's all, you know, family people, kids or old people. There's no adults, you know, our age. So the way I made things work is that I looked out for the foreign community and I clung on to that. And that's how I just like met people. Now to score with Korean women, I just got extremely lucky when I went out with my South African friend to the local college bar, and we crashed a Korean thing. You know how they're really inviting, and got a girl's number. Met her the next week and nailed her first date.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really awesome. But yeah, like it's really like if you could find a place where if there's like a local college nearby, it is like a place where somehow young people go to, go there,
Yeah.
because if you're trying to look for people in a small town to hang out with and meet, it's gonna be really hard because, like I said, they all live in a big city. So look for like a local college or something like that to where you can.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it is basically look for people who are obviously of the age of majority, but maybe haven't moved out of home yet, and so they're like college age, university age. You know, they haven't tried to go somewhere else for a job yet or anything like that. Uh, another thing to Another thing to look out for is again similarly aged people, but the ones who are working locally, right? So like if you have a I don't know waitress at a restaurant and she's cute, she's maybe 23, 24. Like okay, this is a local, and you can start chatting them up as well. Uh, so this kind of goes back to what you were saying a minute ago about being a bit of a celebrity locally, because there is a status that gets conferred on you when you have when you're socially competent, right? In a small town, and you can even if you're a five naturally, you can basically use the cover of status to become a seven or eight locally. And it can really boost you if you are lacking in the looks department or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. I would see that with other people I knew that were like, completely busted individuals, but because they're on the countryside, it gave them so much more, to offer, and
Yeah,
that celebrity and that status and that, um, what do you call it? I forget the word, but yeah, fucking forget the word. I'll come up with it later, but yeah, that thing where you're just like something really special. That comes to the God damn it, I forget the word. But anyway, you're that. And it's really cool. But it has so many drawbacks because if you don't meet a foreign group of people or Korean people your age and shit, you're screwed. And I had a major problem with solitude, living out in the countryside. I would go months without meeting women, without dating. I didn't have a lot of friends because my coworkers were all super religious people. So I couldn't be like, hey, let's go eat samgyeopsal because they don't eat meat. Let's drink because they don't drink. Let's go out Friday. They don't go out Friday night. So I'm like, fuck, dude. Yeah, it was pretty tough. It was
that's
pretty
right.
tough. It is. It is. It is. It is. So that's why, like, if you want to go to the countryside, like, there are some advantages, but I think the disadvantages far outweigh them.
To an extent, right? So again, depending on what it is that you're looking for, if I mean, hell, if you're like my age, right, and if you know game and you wanted to say, okay, look, I'm ready to find like a girl for a serious relationship, and I already know Bento, stop that. He's trying to chew on my damn microphone. Uh, if you already know what you're doing, then you can go out there and literally have your pick of almost any girl. It's also much easier to widen the age gap that's viable because a 22-year-old and a 36-year-old, you're going to have a hard time swinging that for a serious relationship in a big city just because she's got so many other options. But in a small town, you have a lot more to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say novelty was the word I was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, that absolutely adds to it. Like, my friends and I, like, when we would meet like a group of younger women our age, like in their early mid 20s, they would be completely okay with us sitting down at their table and just completely crashing their party and hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And it never failed. It never failed. But
Yeah.
in Seoul, like, it's really easy to meet people too, but not like that to where you're like, oh my God, look at these foreign guys from the US and England and South Africa all hanging out. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And so you're just another foreign guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You really, I mean, you stand out because you're still like Korea is still like 99% Korean, right?
Sure.
And so and then of that 1%, probably about half of it is like other Asian immigrants,
Yeah.
and so you're half of 1%, but you don't stand out nearly as much as you do in a small town where you're one of 10 foreigners.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was pretty crazy. And I was like the only normal foreigner my age in that town because I was
Yeah,
the only one that was drinking and stuff. I was like, shit.
yeah, it's so hard to get foreigners to go to small towns like that
Yeah.
because everybody wants to be in Seoul, and if
Yeah.
not Seoul, fine, put me in Busan then, or put me in at least Daejeon or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But nobody wants to be out in the sticks.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I hadn't considered before until when I moved there. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm like literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think, Rich, kid?
I live in the suburbs, and I've only lived in Seoul, so
The kid, it sounds like you have a dick in your mouth right now. So if you could take that out or whatever's going on, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you're very
anyway.
faint.
I'll turn your volume up on this end, but
Can you hear me better now?
oh, that's much better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. Oh, okay, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I've only
way
lived
better.
in the suburbs, or the like Seoul. So
Okay.
Okay. Now, like, what are some advantages to living in Seoul? You know, of course, like a massive dating pool, super easy to meet people.
yeah, I
know,
would definitely say that, and I would say definitely the anonymity because where I am, it's like 30,000 people, but granted, it's like in a very large like county, so there's like a
Yeah.
bunch of towns of 30,000, right? But like at least in my town, like everyone my age, someone's gonna know someone's gonna be someone's cousin. Like it's pretty well connected to some degree. So yeah, I definitely see that anonymity side of things advantageous to Seoul.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
Suburb ever. Like they always lived in big cities, right?
Richard,
Hello.
your mic is messing up a lot.
Not again.
Well, no, we can hear you this week, so that's better than last time.
Oh, God, it always messes up, doesn't it?
It could be that you're using your headphones. Yeah, I know this
Take them
app
out.
doesn't work too well with Bluetooth. Yeah.
But no, it doesn't.
And now it sounds better.
Welcome to the
Does
Duct
that
Tape
work better?
Live with Jack.
Yeah.
This happens when you put a bunch of fucking boomers on brand new technology platforms. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's better.
All right, so I'll just weigh in. I've always lived in big cities, and I've always made. And when I was broke as fuck, that as close to the action as possible. I'd spend like half my salary, 3/4 of it, entirely on my, just so I could be in the station, in a good place to meet more women and date and everything. So for me, it's very important. Where I always make sure I'm in the thick of it, because the fucking cunt. I don't want to do traffic to go into the main city to meet women, to walk out my door and meet them on cars, or at least drive away. So it depends, like how many sacrifices you're willing to make. But yeah, you got to be as close to the action as possible. Maybe a long term thing, and then you can be living out an hour away. You can. So yeah, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not here to pass any judgment. I'm just going to give you guys the information. What a lot of Korean couples will do is they'll live out in the countryside, but then the husband works in the city. So he'll rent a small little one-room efficiency or something in the city, and he'll come in for the week and do his work and his drinking and his whoring on the weekdays, and then go back out to the countryside for the weekend to spend time with his wife. And so there are always options. There are ways to compromise around that. If you want to have like a small town wife who you know isn't going to fuck around on you, but then you want to go into the big city, go to all the cool bars and fuck around, you can do that too.
I remember that. I that was part of my culture shock when I first got to Korea. Like some of my coworkers, their husbands would work in Seoul or whatever other city, and then they would come during the week, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And here's the thing, that the wives know. The wives know that their husbands are fucking around, but it's just a very strict, like, don't ask, don't tell kind of basis, and don't get some bitch pregnant, don't get AIDS or whatever, right? Like, just
Right. And plus, like, the sole wage that they're earning and sending back to the countryside, they're living like zillionaires. But going to another thing that you mentioned, like the good thing about dating in the countryside is that you are more likely to have a girlfriend. You are like a really committed, she's your girlfriend. This is like serious shit. Whereas in the city, it's more often than not, it'll just be a fling or a little thing. Yeah, go ahead. It's from what I've seen from my experience. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah. Oh, it's options changes everything. So basically, like before, if you're in a big city, you're surrounded by options. Basically, it's more likely for people to get blasted one night and make a mistake. They've got so many options on the table. Appreciate the option, you or the girl you're with, because you always think, oh, I can get. There's thousands more, but if then obviously options are limited from both sides. It's a much more healthy environment to be able to have in, because you're both not distracted by other options. Really, there are very few sections for both partners. You're much more likely to relationship with no cheating, and your time together. But
exactly,
couples, of course, they fall apart as soon as or one of them moves into the city, a small hometown. This happens in every. As soon as one of them goes off to college, city to work, that's just the immediate automatic demise of the relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of positive. If you want to have a long-term but good girl who's not going to fuck around for options, then that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely 100% agree with that. Like, if you just want to meet a girl and make things work, stay in the town with her and tie the knot, whatever it is you want to do. Because the moment one of you goes to the city, that's when things happen. Temptation arises. And you wanna. Rich is speaking the truth. Please listen to that, man. That's a wise man.
Preach it, bitch. Now, before we run out of time, because sadly I'm going to have to go pretty quickly at 1. I have to go film a TV show after this, so I'm not going to be able to stick around. And I do want to get to some of the questions that we have. So let's go ahead and jump into that. The kid, what do you have for us today, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. So the one question we got on the Discord from one user was, it's a little off topic from like city versus like countryside.
That's fine.
I guess it might be slightly related. It's, are leagues in dating as real as everyone makes them up to believe?
Yes and no. So your league is basically whatever you believe it is, and the same is true for her. So a lot of times well, maybe not a lot of times, but sometimes you'll meet girls who you think are in a higher league than you, but they will think the opposite because there are things about her that you find extra attractive, and you find everything about yourself to be totally normal. But the opposite is true for her because she thinks that she's normal and she knows all of her blemishes and shortcomings and, oh, my eyes are a little bit droopy today and, oh, I feel bloated and whatever. Shit that you'll never even notice. And so are there such things as leagues? Yes, to an extent. That's why you see most celebrities couple with other celebrities. But does that preclude you from becoming part of that? No, not a bit. So it's more of a mental thing. You slot yourself wherever you think you are, but other people are going to slot you somewhere else, either higher, lower, maybe even the same. But there's no definitive way of saying it. I mean, look at me, and if you could see my dating history, it would totally put you off from the idea of leagues.
Yeah, I think with leagues, it's kind of like Jack said, what you think you are, plus or minus some points, because there is a thing called reality. So if you're a 1 out of 10, you think you're a 10, right? Then sure, your confidence will take you further, but people are still gonna go, this guy's busted as hell. So there's only so much you can work with, right? So that's how I see it. But yeah, I think leagues are a thing, and it is 1 in 10% possible to date outside or most definitely below your league, right? And of course, as Jack has taught us, we tend to aim above. You date above, you fuck around at or below your league, So yeah, I think the difference here though is that you just have to kind of work on the confidence of how you can really just kind of put yourself out there and just be at the league you want to be in, rather than say like, oh guys, I'm this.
So actually, now that I think about it, do leagues exist? Yes, but it's far more beneficial for you to think that they do not. Act as if they don't exist. Because if you walk around thinking to yourself, oh, well, I'm this good, and so I can't date her. She's out of my league. Well, why? Right? Like,
what is out of your league too, right? I mean,
right.
Is it because she's prettier than you? Is she a movie star? Is she an Instagram model? Or is she just kind of pretty? It's all pretty relative here. So
right.
The moment you start thinking, oh, she's out of my league, you're just defeating yourself. Because trust me, guys, Rich is in Seoul. Jack's lived there for a zillion years. I have too. It's very common. Like, Jack, you could walk right outside right now. You too, Rich. Like, you will see guys who are dating way outside the league all the time, every day, anywhere you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the time. You see some bull-cutted retard with, like, some square-rimmed glasses, and he's as narrow as a pencil, but, his girlfriend is a 10 out of 10, right?
Or some fat, bald asshole dating a K-pop singer, right? Like, nobody's out of your league unless you put them there. And so in the idea of like reality does exist, you can't go too far out of it without bringing something extra to the table, just like I detailed in the formula for attractiveness. But you can always get there somehow, right? You can, and if you just shoot your shot, you'd be surprised how often that can actually work out for you.
That's true.
Do you know what? The kid, write this down. I think I'm going to make a video at some point about how to date a celebrity. Because, I mean, I don't know anybody else who has, and I've dated off the top of my head, at least like 5 people who have their own Wikipedia pages. And I mean, not that that's necessarily the sign of celebrity, but I don't have a Wikipedia page. Anyhow, yeah, leagues act as if they don't exist, and you'll be just let the rest of the world slot you wherever they want, and then prove them wrong if you don't like where they have put you. That's it.
Yeah, I do feel that like if you follow dating your league or outside of it, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
So if you go, oh no way, I can't talk to her because she's 2 inches taller than me, and therefore she's out of my league.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself up for failure. You're just going, well, I can't, and I won't, and I'll lose, and I'll never be able to date her because she's 2 inches taller than me. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I've seen guys who are. I have a friend who's extremely good looking. He was a model in Korea, and he was actually on this Netflix show called like Mr. Sunshine or some stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in it. He can't act to save his life, but when I would go out with him, he would be like, "Oh, I can't talk to her. Why? Oh, because I'm 5'10" and she's like about 6 feet or 5'11. So she's gonna think I'm short. I'm like, dude, you look like Brad Pitt. Like, what do you have to worry about? So
I mean, isn't Tom Cruise like 5'6" or something?
Yeah, she's like 5'7" or something.
Yeah.
And you think he cares about his height?
Yeah.
Probably at one point he did, but not anymore, I think. But yeah, my friend, like, extremely handsome, extremely good looking. But he had these weird insecurities that set himself up for failure. He fulfilled his prophecies of, well, I can't get with that girl because she might think this. And he just would never shoot a shot. Sorry. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's nobody who can cock block you as well as you can cock block you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have time for one more quick question. Do you have something on for us, the kid?
Let me see. Yeah. So in the chat, there's like some people talking about like kind of approaching in Korean versus English, and you kind of weighed in on like it's better always in English. But I'm just kind of curious. Do any of you guys know any like fun like Korean like phrases maybe a foreigner should know, like maybe just like as a fun party trick if they ask you if you speak Korean?
If you want, I'll teach you. Yeah, something fun, right? I'll teach you something like in Korean. Now this would be an amazing party trick that if you pulled this one out, it would get a lot of laughs. If you said, "Sorry, I don't speak Korean, but I do have a small penis. Does that count?" If you pulled that one out at a party, if someone asked you to speak Korean, it would be a killer. In all honesty, though, you can get by with just like a few stupid small words. Like if you learn just "deba," okay, great. That just means like wow.
Yeah.
And you can throw that into fucking anything. You can throw it in sarcastically. You can throw it in whenever she tells a funny story or something.
Yeah, there was a lot of funny little phrases you could learn. Like "진짜" means like really, no way, and that's like the classic one that I think all foreigners learn first.
Yeah.
Or if you say like "oh, 그렇구나," that means like, oh, I see, right? They'll give you like this really confused like what the hell? And say, how do you know what we're talking about? So it throws them off, but in a really playful sort of way. I think phrases are always better, or little stupid Konglish jokes. Like I have a quick one. What does Dracula drink in the morning? Kopi. Kopi means bloody nose. Yeah. So Koreans love it. It's really corny, cheesy, and stupid. They'll be like, "Oh my god!" But they eat that shit up. They really like it when you speak their language.
Why do Koreans only need one tissue? Because in Korea, tissues are huge. Yeah, right. Just like stupid, like children level jokes, and you'll get laughs and eye rolls, not serious laughs, but like, oh my God, this motherfucker, right? That kind of stuff.
Hugie means toilet paper, by the way.
Yeah, or just tissues in general.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you wanted like a lesson on Korean phrases that foreigners can memorize and use to effect, I could create that, but it would take a little bit of time for me to sit down and figure out like what are some easy to remember phrases that you could learn quickly. And I mean, all of it's going to be shit that you're not going to find in books, because books teach you stupid fucking Korean. They teach you the dumbest shit. Honestly, I haven't yet found a Korean book, like a language learning book, that I could recommend to anyone, because they're all so stiff and formal, right? It's like learning. I have just moved to South Central Los Angeles, and I would like to learn English. Here's a book on how to speak like the Queen. Like, oh my God, don't fucking do that, right? And that's basically what the Korean language books are like. They're so out of touch with on the ground, actual day-to-day Korean.
Yeah, just make like a thing of maybe the top 5, useful, fun phrases that foreigners should know. That'd
be a good blog post.
Yeah. Top 5 phrases. Tinta debak.
Yeah. Yeah. We could put something like that together pretty easily.
Yeah.
But with all that said, I really do need to jet. I've got to get up to the film studio quickly. So it has been fun, and thank you boys for joining in today. It's unfortunate that we didn't have time to take some more questions, but next week for sure. And Julius, you are arriving soon?
Yeah, those morons are messing up everything, but it should be smooth sailing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I remember right, you're meant to be here in about a week or so, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was supposed to be this past weekend, actually, but through no fault of my own, the school took forever and everything they did. So it's not my fault. It's not my fault at all. So anyway, dude, you gonna head out?
Yeah, I've got to head out. Right. So I'm gonna get out of here, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks again for joining. Thank you guys for watching. One more time, if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button, feed that algorithm, hit the subscribe button so that you see the new videos that we post. And if you're not yet part of the community, realjacknorth.com, thesoulplayer.com, you can find the community there. Join our Discord channel. Chat with us individually, one-on-one, in a group. Ask your questions. Get them answered here. And I will catch you guys next time. Papa Jack out.